Imagine this. You, a man of reason, of principles, standing in the chaotic marketplace of modern love, a lantern in hand, like Diogenes once held, searching for one honest woman. But what happens when the truth you find doesn't just disappoint you, it breaks you? What if the very desire you've been taught to chase, love, connection, is actually a poisoned chalice? A game never meant to fulfill you, but designed to break you down. By the end of this journey, you won't see the world through bitterness. You'll see it with clarity, cold, sharp clarity, the kind that comes only to a man who's stared into the abyss and learned to use its darkness like a blade. Let's start with a story. A man, let's call him Alexander, smart, driven, a thinker. He meets a woman who mirrors his intellect, his passions. They grow together. He invests, he sacrifices, he believes in the fairy tale. Then, one day, he sees the texts, the lies, the slow erosion of his dignity. He confronts her. She doesn't cry. She doesn't even flinch. She smiles. Not from guilt, but from pity. You took it too seriously, she says. And in that moment, Alexander doesn't just lose a relationship, he loses faith. Now here's the real tragedy. This isn't rare. This isn't the exception. This is the rule. The ancient Greeks understood. Diogenes, the philosopher who lived in a barrel once, walked through the streets with a lantern at noon, searching for an honest man, not because he expected to find one, but because he wanted to expose the lie. He knew something most men still refuse to see. Desire isn't about love, it's about power, especially female desire. It swings like a pendulum between two poles, security and excitement. And most men, they're just background props in a game they don't even know is being played. Think about it. When's the last time you saw a good man get discarded? Loyal husband traded in for a thrill. The devoted boyfriend suddenly friend-zoned. The man who did everything right, left behind like he never mattered. And what does society say? It's his fault. He got boring. He didn't keep the spark alive. But what if that's the lie? What if the spark was never meant to last in the first place? Now, here's the truth. Most men refuse to accept women don't crave love the way men do. They crave impact, the emotional effect you have on them. And once that effect fades, no matter how loyal you are, how much you've sacrificed, you're replaceable. Cold. Yes, but also real. The data backs it up. Hypergamy, divorce rates, the 80-20th rule on dating apps. It all points to one brutal reality. The system is rigged, not because of some conspiracy, because of biology, because of instinct. But hold on, don't rage, don't collapse into despair, because you're only defeated if you play by the wrong rules. Diogenes didn't get angry at the hypocrisy of the world. He laughed at it. He mastered it. And now, you will too. This isn't about preaching. It's not about hating women. It's not about giving up. This is about arming yourself with something stronger, a philosophy of power, a strategy not just to survive but to win in a game that was never built for you. Because the answer isn't to become more lovable. It's to become something far more dangerous, untouchable, uncontrollable, unfuck with able law. 1. Become UNCONTRL. Levi Letha. First rule of power is simple. Don't be controlled. Women, society, even your own biology will try to chain you to a need for validation. A glance, a like, a compliment, a warm hug. At the end of the day, the antidote. Radical self-sovereignty. Diogenes didn't live in a barrel because he was poor. He lived there because he was free. He didn't need status. He didn't need approval. He didn't need anyone's gaze to feel like he mattered. But men today, they're addicted to female attention like it's a drug. They twist themselves into 100 versions just to get one brief moment of warmth. You've got to cut that cord. Not with rage, but with indifference. The moment you no longer need her, you're not just free, you become a threat. A man who can't be manipulated. Law 2. Turn ridicule into a WAPO. The moment a woman senses you take her too seriously, when you pedestize her, she starts to lose respect. The ancient cynics, like Diogenes, mocked kings, philosophers, even the gods. Why? Because they understood something crucial. Worship is weakness. Modern men, they don't fall in love with real women. They fall in love with potential, with fantasy, with a dream they've built in their own mind and projected onto who standing in front of them. And in that exact moment, they sign their own death warrant. So what's the solution? Laugh. Laugh at her tests. Laugh at your own desperation. Laugh at the absurd little dance we call courtship. She throws a tantrum. Smile. She goes silent. Gives you the cold shoulder. Shrugged. Because the second she realizes her tactics don't shake you, that's when the power flips. Law 3. Live like a wild animal. Society has softened men. We've been taught to suppress our instincts, to apologize for our strength, to negotiate for the things we should simply take. Diogenes ate in the marketplace, pleasured himself in public, lived like a beast, not because he was crude, but because he refused to play along with the polite lies of civilization. You're not a therapist. You're not an emotional dumping ground. You're a man, a creature of action, of passion, of will. So stop asking permission. Stop explaining yourself. If you want something, go get it. If you're done, walk away. The wild animal doesn't beg, doesn't bargain. It acts, and in action, it reclaims its lost power. Let's be clear. This is not some declaration of war against women. This isn't bitterness dressed up as philosophy. This is a wake-up call. Because women, they're human too, flawed, just like you. Driven by instinct, not some divine moral compass. And the second you stop expecting fairness, that's the second you're free to play this game by your rules. But this is only the beginning. Because behind all that pain, beneath the layers of betrayal, there are still lies you haven't faced. Lies you've been telling yourself. Only, when you're ready to confront those, can you stop being the wounded one, and finally become the warrior? By now, you've seen the trap. You've recognized it, the spiral of deception, of warped desire, of a world that bends men out of shape, until they barely recognize themselves. Most men never come back from that realization. Some crumble. Others grow bitter, cynical, or worse, they stay trapped in a state of quiet begging, hoping for scraps of affection from a system built to drain them dry. But you're not most men. You're the one who learns, who adapts, who, like Diogenes, stares into a corrupt world and laughs. So now the question becomes, how do you not just survive but thrive in a game that was never meant for you to win? Not by trying harder. Not by being a better performer in a play she's directing. By changing the entire damn script. Those first 3 laws of the cynic, they laid the foundation. But there's still one thing left poisoning you. One chain still wrapped around your neck. It's not her. It's not society. It's the story you've been telling yourself. The final wound. I was never enough. Every man who's ever been betrayed carries a silent wound. A question he never says out loud, but one that echoes in his mind. Why? Wasn't I enough? And that question, that desperate craving for validation, for closure, for some kind of apology, that's the final trap. Because the moment you tie your self-worth to whether she regrets it, whether she comes back, whether the world ever admits what it took from you, that's the moment you lock yourself back inside the very cage you were trying to escape. Let me tell you a story. Diogenes was once captured by pirates and sold into slavery. When asked, "What are you good for?" he didn't beg, he didn't cry. He said, "I am fit to rule over men." Even in chains, he knew his worth wasn't defined by his circumstances. You think this is about her? About proving her wrong? About making the world acknowledge your pain? It's not. That's the illusion. That's your mind replaying the same old story. Because the biggest betrayal, it wasn't hers, it was yours. The day you gave someone else the power to decide what you're worth. The crossroads, hatred, or ferrito, is one moment, sharp, clean, unforgiving, a moment where a broken man must choose to rot in the false comfort of resentment, or step into the brutal clarity of absolute freedom. Most men fail here. They don't heal. They just switch addictions from craving love to craving hate, from needing to be loved to needing to be pitied. They become philosophers of pain, well-read, well-spoken, quoting everything, but never truly letting go of the wounded ego underneath. But don't confuse understanding with transcendence. You can memorize every red pill truth. You can master every social dynamic and still be a slave if you let those truths control your emotions. Real power isn't knowing the rules. Real power is outgrowing the game. The Diogenes Protocol, 3 steps to break the final chain. 1. Burn the old script. Stop replaying the betrayal. Stop waiting for an apology. Stop hoping for a fair ending. The past is only a prison if you keep rebuilding its walls, brick by brick. 2. Embrace the void, that emptiness gnawing at you. Good. It means you're detoxing. Sit with it. Don't drown it out with a new woman, with Netflix, with your phone. Let it burn through every last illusion you were clinging to. And after that, clarity begins. 3. Create, don't consume. Most men live their entire lives consuming movies, porn, validation, distractions. But the free man, he builds, he writes, he trains, he fights, he tells his story, he turns pain into something that outlives him, a work of art, a powerful body, a mission, a legacy that no one can take away. The ancients understood this. The only way out is through, not around the pain, not above it, through, and on the other side of that pain, you'll find something more dangerous than happiness, peace. Not the peace of surrender, but the peace of a man who stared into the abyss and realized he was never afraid of the abyss. He was afraid of what he saw staring back, his own reflection. What's left when everything's burned away? You've walked through the fire. You've let go of the need to be understood, forgiven, or loved. So now the final question is this. What's left when there's nothing left? No more pain, no more philosophy, not even the hard-won lessons that carried you here. What remains? The one thing no one can ever take from you is your will. Not the fragile kind that pleads for life to be fair, but the unbreakable, unshakable will of a man who has nothing left to lose. The final truth. Everything wants one thing from you. Your ATTAMTOA and love, money, society, social media, all of it wants the same thing. Your life force, your attention, your energy. Women extracted through attraction. Corporations extracted through consumption. The weak extracted through guilt. And the moment you finally see that, you stand at a fork in the road. Keep feeding this machine with your soul, or become the man who can't be killed. The 3 pillars of the unkillable man. 1. Sovereignty of time. Stop selling your life for cheap dopamine. Stop arguing with ghosts in your mind. Every hour spent in resentment is an hour you chose to stay a slave. Take your time back. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. 2. The laughing no when the world demands your outrage. Smile. When it demands your submission, stay silent. The unkillable man doesn't play by his enemy's rules. He flips the whole damn board. 3. The sacred obsession. Diogenes had philosophy. You need something that is yours, and yours alone. A mission, a madness, a niche that belongs to you, even when no one watches, applauds, or cares. That is your anchor, your reason to rise. The one love that will never betray you. And yes, the wounds will whisper some days. You'll miss the comfort of your chains. You'll crave the old lies because they were familiar. But on those days, remember, you weren't born to be understood. You weren't born to be loved. You were born to burn. And when the fire in you burns hotter than the fear of being alone, fear of being mocked, fear of being forgotten, that's when you'll finally understand you were never the victim. You were the dragon all along. The man who rises from the ashes. You've descended through every level of truth. You've shattered every chain. The need to be loved, the need to be accepted, the need to play society's rigged script. You saw the trap. You lit it on fire. You fell into the abyss and climbed out by yourself. Not as the man you once were, but as something rarer, a man who belongs only to himself. But this moment, when you're finally free, finally unchained, is not the end. It's just the beginning. From pain to purpose, the transcendence of a free man. And most men, after they wake up, fall into a new kind of trap, emptiness. They wake up and ask, if love isn't what I thought it was, if the world isn't fair, if loyalty doesn't pay off, then what's the point? Here's the answer. To build, to create, because the man who survives the storm, if he doesn't build something new from the ashes, he'll crawl right back to the prison he escaped. Look at history. Every great philosopher, warrior, founder, they all had one thing in common, an obsession that was non-negotiable. Not because they wanted to prove something, but because they had no other choice. If you don't turn your pain into something higher, it will come back and devour you. Obsession, the secret all great men possess. Obsession. It's what most modern men have lost. We're told to balance, to seek work-life harmony, to relax, to enjoy the journey, and that's fine for the man who's already fulfilled his mission. But if you're at rock bottom, still bleeding from betrayal, still feeling drained day after day, then chill is a trap. You don't need another vacation. You need a Nietzsche's sacred obsession, so consuming it makes you forget the wounded version of yourself ever existed. Ask yourself, what could I chase for the rest of my life? What would I still do even if no one clapped, no one cared, no one understood? Maybe it's martial arts. Maybe it's coding. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's building a business. Maybe it's becoming the father you never had. Maybe it's seeking truth. Whatever it is, hold on to it like your life depends on it, because it's not just a goal, it's your armor. Don't just be B-U-N-D-E. Fine ABL. The world loves to slap labels on men. You're the nice guy. You're toxic. You're red pill. You're the bitter ex. You're the quiet one. They want you to pick a box, to stay in it, to live in it. But you don't have to choose. You can be cold and loving, skeptical and passionate, fierce and calm. You are not a product of social media. You are a fusion of shadow and light, instinct and intellect. The man who can't be defined is the man who lives by no one's definition but his own. He doesn't need to be understood. He doesn't need to be validated. He doesn't need someone to see his pain, because he's already looked it in the eye and walked through it. The man who finds peace, but never settles for normally lived with pain so long, it became familiar. Now it's time to learn how to live without it. No more chaos, no more drama, no more emotional storms, just to feel alive. And at first, peace will scare you, because your mind is addicted to noise. It'll look for reasons to get hurt again. But this time, don't run. Sit still. Learn how to breathe in the silence, because from that silence, your real power will rise. No more chasing, no more proving, only action, not for anyone else, not for applause. Just because you are who you are. Real freedom isn't being unbound. It's choosing your kindness. You used to be a slave, to love, to validation, to your image in other people's eyes. Now you know, we're all bound to something, so the question isn't how do I become free? The real question is, what will I choose to be bound to? A woman or a vision? The crowd's approval or your own standard? Temporary dopamine or a niche you'd die for? The unkillable man is the one who chose his chains and never apologizes for them. This isn't about becoming more manly. It's about becoming you. You don't need to be a copy of anyone. Not Diogenes. Not some millionaire CEO. Not an alpha male on TikTok. You only need to become one thing. The version of you that no one else on earth can replicate. No one knows you like you do. No one lives for you. No one pays the price for your failure but you. So own it. Your path. Your fire. Your final form. Final message. Be the fire, not the SHOW. There will be days when you feel empty. Nights when you miss her. Moments when you scroll through Instagram or TikTok, see her smiling, and feel your chest tighten. It's okay. You're not a robot. But don't let those passing emotions trick you into believing you've lost something. You haven't lost anything. You're just remembering a shadow. You already have everything you need. Your will, your discipline, your mission. The fire inside you, if you keep it burning, will take you further than any love ever could. You weren't born to be understood. You weren't born to be loved. You were born to burn. Summary: the Diogenes protocol for the unkillable man. You don't need to be loved. You need to be free. You don't need to be understood. You need to take action. You don't need justice. You need self-mastery. You don't need fame. You need personal obsession. You don't need to be right. You need to be untouchable. If you've made it this far, if you've listened to every word, then you're no longer the same man who started this video. You are no longer the one who clung to shadows. You've chosen fire. Hold on to it. Don't forget it, because the world will try to extinguish you. But you, if you burn long enough, deep enough, real enough, you will never go out. Because you are no longer a victim. You are no longer a product. You are the fire. You are the warrior. You are you.